Hello there. Well, the 2024 turnaround season is pretty much a wrap for most operators. And just before one last thing to take care of before everybody runs off for a little bit of well-deserved R&R is let's take a look at the upcoming 2025 turnaround budget. And it's pretty critical that we do because there are a bunch of things that typically get missed or forgotten and lead to financial chaos down the street. So, the first thing I like to look at when I'm looking at my upcoming budget is what I think of as the new kids on the block. And in the case of turnaround, that would be the 2027 turnaround events. Now, the 2027 turnaround events are just coming into our radar now, but we're going to need some funding to get started on the work that needs to take place in 2025 in order to have a successful 2027 event. So the first thing we need money for is to select and assign a turnaround manager for that event. And we would like to have that individual in place by the end of Q1. Likewise, we need to create and approve the turnaround event premise that will govern the 2027 work. And we would also like to have that done by the end of Q1. But be a little bit careful with this one because don't forget that the approval for your turnaround premise is going to be way up at the executive level, and getting time on their schedules might be more difficult than even getting the money assigned to do it, to get it done. So we need to, in the course of 2025, we need to conduct a master scope challenge for the 2027 work, and we need to implement scope control for the 2027 work, and we would like that all wrapped up before the end of Q4. Now, we also need to approve and planning premise that all the teams will be held to, exactly how the planning will be done, and a scheduling premise for 2027, exactly how the scheduling will be done. Now, in mature organizations, this is more of a rinse and repeat thing. You already have this there, but people that are growing their process and evolving their process might need some money to take a look at what your planning premise is going to look like and what your scheduling premise is going to look like. So that's more money being assigned to 2027 than the average, plant management team is expecting. I'm just saying that because in my whole life, that's always been true. So the next thing we want to look at when we're looking at our 2025 turnaround budget is our 2026 turnaround events. Now, the planning for 2026 is going to be well underway. We're going to need a significant amount of funding in 2025 to support the detailed planning of all of the work packs for the 2026 turnaround. And that work is going to be ongoing. It's going to run all year from Q1 to Q4. We also likewise need to create and do the detailed planning for all the turnaround support plans that will support the 2026 event. And this is an important thing not to forget. You do not want to find out 2 weeks before you start the 2026 turnaround that your HSE team needs 3 extra people that you didn't even know were coming because it was never mentioned in their support plan. So, put a pretty good focus on the support plans. I see when I'm out there around that poor support plans have a lot to do with poor turnaround results. So we also, by the time 2025 ends, we want to have created our master execution schedule for the 2026 execution year. Now, there will still be some tweaking and manipulating going on there, but the bulk of the work, and therefore the bulk of the spending to get there, will take place in 2025. So, those are the 2 turnaround years that typically fall short when we're looking at budgeting. So now let's talk about the 2025 year. Now, most people that have executions coming up in 2025 have not forgotten those things. So that money is on the tip of everybody's tongue, and that's the execution money for the actual event. Now, providing we did all these process-driven things in the years before, we will expect to take that money and execute on time and on budget. So that's all good. The one thing I like to remind people about the 2025 year is please commit to completing the closeout of the turnaround event this year in the 2025 year. And I know that can be a problem, chasing contractors and trying to wrap up the financials, but it's worth the effort because it is one of the principal inputs that we will use for our continuous improvement process. So let's make sure that we are 100% committed to completely close out our 2025 events before the end of 2025. So hopefully some of you are going to use some of your rest and recreation time to attend the CI Shutdowns Turnaround Super Conference in Calgary, Alberta at the beginning of December. And if you do, I shall see you there. Peace out.